What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Matt Cooper, aka MODC Architecture, and what I'm going to be talking about today is taking risks and being proactive with your critical eye in your design. I am in a bit of a rough spot with my design right now, and you're going to be seeing that in the video. And what I'm looking to do is try and get myself out of a rough spot using some sort of techniques and thinking through drawing. And what I'll be doing is presenting those drawings to my tutors, so that they can comment on it. But thinking through drawing is a really important thing in architecture. So yeah, let's get into the video. So the reason I'm doing this video is because I find design really tough to make sure that I'm running down the same sort of road that I started on, and to keep on track and to keep my design relevant to the brief. So at the end of my last video, which I'll put in the description, I ran through my portfolio from term 1, and we ended up at this drawing at the end and this drawing. So this is what I envisaged my design looking like at sort of the start of term 2 to progress on to something a little bit more concrete than this, because this is just a bunch of I don't know, balloons moving up and down, you know, just to represent an idea, a concept. So what we've got here is the site constraints being divided into a program, the program being influenced by the site again with the chimneys, then developing an interconnection between the programs to finally come to this balloon looking like concept. After the balloon looking like concept had been described and what I was thinking about doing, the concept of movement was very much present in my notes. So now we're on to term 2. Term 2 has been a bit of a weird one, I suppose, because we've changed the design a lot. And the reason why I've done this is because this was not viable. This wasn't viable whatsoever. However, this is starting to look at the technical side of things and looking to make the design somewhat believable and usable as a tower. So iteration 2 looked at vertical movement, circular movement, movement from the roofs up and down, and then movement between these two modules, again up and down. So vertical movement focused very much so. However, I had a sort of chat with my tutors, and they said to take the vertical movement not so literally. So what do? I take the movement literally again, which was my mistake. This is the issue I have with design. Design, for me, I get really hooked on ideas, and I guess what I'm trying to say here in this video is I'm trying to advise you about what I do, which I know are mistakes, and I'm trying my hardest to get away from them. So, you know, I lead you to a treasure that I cannot possess kind of thing, you know. Talking to my tech tutor, these tooth and sort of cog designs actually are quite viable and could be scaled up really easily, but how do you get there? The circulation, I suppose you can see, I described the circulation in these lifts, but apart from that, there's not much to do with circulation. There's not much thought process that's gone into this design, and that was my next biggest flaw. So what I've seen is that in these designs, there's no real meaning to the movement. For a piece of architecture to move, there's got to be meaning. It's got to really convey something different or something important with that movement. So for me to just move something for the sake of it doesn't make much sense. Again, this is a slightly different design, slightly better, I would say, a bit more realistic. However, still very far from what I'm looking to do. And that's an issue. And I think that's because there are some things which I haven't defined. And it's very important to define things. Very, very important. So, within the context of my project, what I need to do, and what I would recommend everyone do, is define what you are looking to achieve with this building. Once you've defined that, build on it and create a narrative for your space. The narrative will allow you to unlock your creative mindset towards that building. So if you have a narrative of wanting to tell a story in a campus, you know full well that you can horizontally create the circulation to be nice and horizontal and to run through this form of storyline. For me, I want to do it vertically, so I now know that I need to construct a narrative using movement. So I started with looking at the movement in a theme park, because obviously I'm creating a vertical theme park with a sustainable educational aspect. So I've looked at a theme park, the movement in a theme park, which is very free, and then I've looked at the movement in the Fundacho Ibere Camargo building by Alvaro Siza. What I've noticed here is that he's very particular with where people move. And it's very interesting. I would recommend looking at it. I'll leave a link to it down below, the Arc Daily link. Very interesting building. However, it's a very linear journey. Sort of kind of like the Guggenheim. Very linear journey. So that's what I need to look at now. And it's important to look at different precedents that obviously still apply, but it's important to see the contrasting views of different architects and the contrasting designs trying to address the same problem or the same issue. This is looking at creating a narrative but being able to move freely from one place to another. And this is looking at being able to run through a narrative. It's an art museum, so it's looking to tell a story with the art. Hello? So like I said, it's important to compare and contrast these things. Now that I've looked at what the architect wants to display in terms of narrative, I now need to analyse what types of movement are possible in my building. So for me, architectural movement, so the physical movement of parts in the building, a theme park movement, and the human movement. And once I've decided on my movement, or I've identified the avenues of movement, I now need to look at my educational message. So the educational message that I want to display in my building is the potential of renewable energy to move towards a zero carbon planet, the potential for theme parks to be zero carbon, and the pollution that has devastated our environment for, the last century or so, how bad it's been for the environment and how we've affected it. So it's a rather it's an impactful drawing, but it needed to be done. And it's just that realization of what you want to talk about in your building, and that will help you build up your narrative. So this then allowed me to build some sort of storyboard. So I'm looking at an unaffected human environment, and then the story goes on to the human impact and the environmental conditions because of that impact, then going on to looking at the potential of renewable power, and then through that renewable power, hopefully we'll go back to an unaffected environment. Obviously, that's a very naive way to look at it in terms of, oh, everything will just go back to normal. Obviously it won't. There'll be changes and stuff. However, for the concept and for the for the sake of the narrative, I sort of thought it would be nice to bring it back full circle. So I then look at applying these to some theme park rides within the building, because again, looking at movement, looking at the theme parks as being a primary source of that movement, I need to pair these storyboard scenes with some theme park rides. Now what's important is to see how I think the building will function, or how I think the building will be set up. So as per the key, you can see there's the unaffected environment in green, industrial revolution in red, the infected environment in sort of a yellow colour, golden colour, the renewable energy power production in a turquoise colour, and then you've got the central mechanical display in the blue. So the green, I'm thinking you start your story up at the top with the wide views, etc., and then you go down into the centre of the building, the heart of the building, as you go through your journey through the Industrial Revolution, and then you go, through the industrial section, how people cause the environment to be affected, and then you go into the base of the building, which is showing the environment currently and how it's pretty terrible currently, how we've been treating it. And then I want you to be able to go across and see these renewable energy resources or sources that I've implemented in the building. So sort of take them up the sides, and then obviously the dropper tower will bring you down, and then back up, whatever, and then back up to the top of the building to see those beautiful views again. It's just an idea, and whether it works I don't know, but what I do find is what is the most important thing to take away from this video is to make mistakes, be proactive. The only way you're going to get through a rough spot, because I'm currently kind of in a rough spot, I don't know where my design's really going to go. I don't really know how to move forward. I'll let you guys know in an update video, of course. However, to get through a rough spot, you need to make mistakes. Being safe won't get you anywhere. Being safe won't get you that 2-1. Being safe really won't, I suppose, make the tutors sort of interested in your design, perhaps. You need to absolutely make sure that you're taking risks and you're being critical of those risks, though. So if a risk doesn't work out, you need to be critical of that. That's another drawing. But in your crits, showing that critical eye is going to really, really help boost your markup and also really going to display what your abilities are, what you're capable of doing in terms of being critical, and then being able to draw conclusions from that criticism and being able to implement them into a better design. So, and then that happens, probably you're going to be designing for 6 or 7 weeks, so you've got to do that for 6 or 7, maybe even 8, 9, 10 iterations, and then that's when your design starts to take form and you can start doing your final drawings. So I'm currently sort of at my 3rd iteration, 4th iteration. I kind of feel like I'm on iteration 1 though, because I've only really just defined my educational message properly. I've only really defined how I want the spaces to sort of work. But yeah, so it's a difficult one, and I'm sorry if this has been a bit of a ramble video. But it's a truthful video. It's me being honest about my work, and it's me being sort of giving you guys an update on what I've been doing. So yeah guys, that is about it for today's video. If you did like the video, please hit the like button. If you didn't, and let me know why in the comments below. I'm always looking to improve, so do let me know. And if you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. And finally, if I could ask you to hit that notification bell just to let you know when I'm uploading. If you found this video interesting, then please do that. But yeah, take care, have a good day, and see ya.